For many years, China, Europe, and the US have turned the African continent into a dumping site for their unwanted textile products that result from their fast fashion consumption. The term fast fashion has become increasingly popular through the rise of Shein and Temu, and it has had a detrimental impact on the environment. In this video, we look at the fast fashion industry and how the waste textile products end up accumulating as waste, particularly in the African continent, and how this has escalated into crisis level in Ghana. Hi everyone, my name is Itumeleng Mpofu and welcome to Break It Down, a platform where we get to unravel some of the most complex social, economic and political issues, making them easy for people to grasp.
Welcome to Break It Down, where we tackle society's most complex issues.
South Africa, with almost...
We dive deep into the intricacies of today's biggest challenges, whether they're social, economic, or political, and break them down into clear, digestible insights.
The term fast fashion refers to fashion that is designed and manufactured quickly at a low cost. The low cost simply means the exploitation of labor and a huge cost to the environment. In the fast fashion industry, clothing items are produced cheaply, they are worn briefly, and they are discarded quickly. Over 100 billion items are produced and sold annually, and the number is expected to double by 2030. Most of the items produced are of low quality. They are worn a few times and then they become discarded, and the new ones are bought, and then the cycle repeats itself again. But the question remains, when these items are being discarded, where do they go? Before we answer that question, let's look at this insert that shows how fast fashion waste continues to accumulate in Ghana.
A small mountain of textiles which sprouted up over the past 15 years. At 20 meters high, it's an eyesore that continues to grow.
Look at all this. We don't need it. It doesn't have use.
Among the debris are well-known European and American brands.
This is jean trouser, Bosch company. This is another jeans trouser.
This is what we are all looking at, and we are burning it. All the time we are burning it, but still, the boiler is too much for us. It's giving us sickness, fever, headache, and much other things.
The smoke from these fires is toxic, although no studies have been conducted here to find out how toxic. Every day ships bring another 160 tons of old clothes into the country.
What you see in Ghana is a glimpse of the problem that is caused by the fast fashion industry. The impact is immense and dire, particularly in the African continent. Ghana, Kenya, Nigeria, and Tanzania are the most affected countries by the waste resulting from the fast fashion industry. Over 100 billion items are produced annually, and most of those items end up in Europe and American markets for consumption. Since those items are of low quality and sold cheap, the items are quickly discarded, while some are given away as donations. And those that are given away as donations have created a fast fashion second-hand market in the African continent and is currently booming across the entire African continent. The second-hand clothing products are packed into bales and transported to various markets across the African continent. When the second-hand items reach African markets, some are already waste products and they can't be worn, so they are discarded upon arrival. Those that are sold cheap and also quickly discarded. Those that are getting discarded, it is done on dumping sites, which has created an unprecedented crisis in Ghana, so much that the Ghanaian government has created specialized dumping sites. One of the main dumping sites was expected to fill up in the next 10 years, but within 5 years, the site is already full and unusable. You are probably wondering, why are these items not being recycled? Well, most of the fast fashion items are made of non-recyclable and non-biodegradable material, which is essentially poison to the environment. On rainy days, the items end up in drainage system, blocking the sewage systems, and some are washed off to the ocean, affecting marine life. The fashion industry has become the second biggest polluter in the world, following fossil fuels. The fashion industry contributes over 10% to the annual carbon footprint, more than all international flights and maritime shipping combined. But that is not the only problem. The fast fashion industry consumes the most amount of water, that is enough to sustain 5 million people every year. It also creates millions of tons of plastics and other waste products that pollute the air and the oceans. Let's look at the main contributors of the fast fashion industry. The term fast fashion is not new. The term was made popular in the 1990s when Zara landed in New York for business. In their model, it took them 15 days for an item to be designed, manufactured, and to be sold in the stores, which was unheard of at that time. For many years, the biggest players in the fast fashion industry were Zara, Forever 21, and H&M, just to name a few. The arrival of Shein and Temu has put the fast fashion industry on steroids. It is estimated that before Shein and Temu came to the scene, the original fast fashion giants, Zara, was producing around 40,000 styles annually. H&M was producing around 23,000 styles annually. Already, there was an outcry about the fast fashion industry at that time. The arrival of Shein and Temu exacerbated the situation. Shein is estimated to produce around 1.5 million styles a year. This is not the number of items they produce, this is just the number of styles per year. 1.5 million annually. In 2023, Shein generated an estimated 32.5 billion US dollars, which is around 574 billion rands. The app was downloaded 238 million times, and at present, Shein is valued at 68 billion US dollars, which is around 1.2 trillion rands. The success was quick and has surpassed major retail brands across the world, but the impact is dire. Some have argued that this is just Western imperialist agenda, a propaganda that is run by the West to damage the reputation of the Chinese fast fashion industry and their textile industry. Be that as it may, which is a valid argument because the West is known for being good at cooking propaganda at all times. But the results of the fast fashion industry, which is dominated by the Chinese players, is proving a detrimental impact on human life and the environment. The working conditions and the exploitation of employees is horrendous. But to be fair, the problem would have been received differently if Shein and Temu were based in Europe and the US due to their capabilities of PR. It doesn't mean that Europe and the US cares about the environment or human rights. They only do so if it favors them. Europe and the US are not saints. They have business practices that contribute to the exploitation of human rights, and they also have businesses that continuously affect humans through their impact on the environment. The problem here is capitalism. It's greed to maximize profit at the expense of human rights and the environment. The problem here is the rise of materialism and the consumer culture that we have as humans around the world. And social media has also served as a catalyst to this problem. The growth of social media platforms such as Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok has created fertile grounds for the fast fashion industry. The beauty and influencer market continues to grow, with vloggers and influencers wearing a different outfit in every photo or every video that they make. In order for them to keep up with the aesthetics, they start to buy from the fast fashion giants, Shein and Temu, where they can find dresses for less than 500 rands and sometimes to about 100 rands. And due to the items being of low quality, the item will be worn a handful of times and then it goes into the bin for throwaway. Hence, some have termed the fast fashion industry as a throwaway fashion. You buy, you wear, and tomorrow you throw it away. Shein and Temu have also started using social media algorithms to collect vast amounts of data that help them to respond speedily to fashion changes and to consumer taste in real time. They identify new trends from around the world and they replicate the products immediately, making them available before they are even tailored. In some cases, they even infringe on copyright. They make their items in batches of 100 and 500 and immediately they start to export. The small batch production offers them an opportunity to respond to any design changes speedily in case that the product is not as familiar with the consumers. And that is what gives them a competitive advantage compared to other retail brands who actually have to produce an item in large batches and there's no room to go back and redesign in the event that the consumer is not liking the product. Shein and Temu have also cut the middleman. They do import and export on their own, which allows them to maximize on profit. They also don't have physical stores, which means that they save on rent and labor while they pay less for the manufacturers. Clearly, the fast fashion industry is here to stay, and by 2030, units produced are estimated to be double the amount to over 200 billion units a year. Consumers are expected to up their shopping by up to 90% of their current consumption. Business will stop at nothing to generate profit, but the environment will continue to gradually deteriorate, creating slum conditions. Seasonal changes will continue to be unpredictable, affecting not only the way that we live as humans, but also our food supply. Share this video to spread awareness about this issue. If you now understand what fast fashion is, comment clear in the comment section. If there's something you wish we had touched on more, let us know in the comment section. And if you have any other topics you'd like for us to break down, feel free to add those in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notifications bell for more. Done.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.